And we're
Did
live.
I
Somehow
literally
that went
just
right with the music. That was awesome.
that was amazing, but also that happened right the fuck as I had unmuted it, like 3 seconds after I'd unmuted it to hear the whatever smooth jazz you were loving so much.
I mean, it's good.
It is good. I heard about 2 bars of it, but
And
it
then you
was
heard
very
yourself.
good. And then I heard myself, and I'd have a rude existential awakening. How are you,
Like,
Ashley?
oh no. You heard yourself, but in a way that you don't normally always do because you always have your mic looped back into your headphones.
Yeah, I though I made a habit recently. This isn't like extremely relevant, but I've made a habit recently out of unless I'm like if I'm just recreationally. I gotta start over this whole sentence. So I
Hmm.
have made more of a habit out of like in my recreational time reading books with and for those who don't know, I read them out loud just because one, I absorb it better that way, and two, practice for voice acting. Um, and so if I'm just doing it recreationally, I've realized I have a better time with it if I do it without headphones on, and just maybe have some like light music in the background as an anchor, and then so like statistically now like most of the time even when I'm sitting here I do not actually listen to myself through headphones. That just only used to be true, but yeah, anytime I'm like on a call with somebody, that is definitely the case.
Yeah. I can't do like listening to music while I read. I've have done recently and I'm going to continue to do like rain noises. Rain noises
Yeah,
have been very good for that.
like for me because I almost always have, both for anxiety reasons and light tinnitus. I'm just gonna come out with that now. Um, I I have some like moderate storm sounds. If anyone, by the way, wants to know, I know I've mentioned this on one of the banter episodes, but I'll say it again. Mynoise.net is really, 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 really good. Um,
What's banter?
Shut up. Anyway, so uh so yeah, mynoise.net, I use one of their like thunderstorm ambient noises, and sometimes also a little uh I g- what's it called, like the airline one where it's like it's on the so basically it's the sound of like the sound that you hear inside of a commercial airline when you're like, at its peak velocity, at its
When it's
peak
flying.
altitude. Yeah, when it's flying at its peak altitude, when everything's just like chill, you're in the air, that background hum. So that and the thunderstorm one. The thing is, um, that only sounds that good in my headphones. It does not sound that good from my speakers. Does not help me very much. And so that's why I put on the light music. Also because if I'm reading something that's like especially not like not fun to hear, if there's like something super dramatic and hard going on, like it's nice to have some music to go, oh yeah, this isn't real. Like just as a tiny reminder if I'm like really trying to get into it too. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been so recently with my pharmacy work, I've been doing like classes online. And so like I'll go into the back of where I work onto a computer and start doing classes. And I can't like just read things in silence. So I bring my AirPods and I just have like the rain noises on as background with noise canceling on as well for whatever's around me. That's been perfect. I've been able to actually read.
Yeah, I think I think rain in a safe place and is like the perfect pairing with reading. It's kind of understated, but it's very common. Yeah. Anyway, did you want to start the topics, or should I do that?
You can start a topic. I feel like I you haven't started a topic in a while, so you get to start an
Um,
episode today as a treat.
fair. or, but yeah.
I'm
Anyway,
so glad I get to clip
um,
that.
continued from the previous episode, because we talked about our yearly themes last episode,
Yeah.
and I just have a little DLC extension on mine. It's not like an extension for the theme, it's just like a technique that helps me. So to recap, for those who don't want to go back and listen through for it, my yearly theme is instinct, because I don't trust them enough, and I'm going to do that. One thing that has immensely helped me with that I figured out since the last episode is you're already doing it. Because anytime someone says just do it, like just do the thing, I know people usually mean perfectly well when they say that, and I know that you've said that and it works well for you, but the only thing my brain says in response to that is, gee, why didn't I think of that? But like I never want to like say that, because it's, but I realized it helps my brain if you put yourself already past the I've started doing it threshold, because it, like, to basically account for the fact that starting doing anything is you thought of doing the thing, and so now you're going to do the thing. So it's like kind of like when someone recommends making to-do lists and then it says write down to-do list as like the first thing on it, so you already get to tick something off. I'm just basically putting the line even further back, and this entire week that has made it easier for me to start almost anything, either self-maintenance, environmental maintenance, creatively. Yeah, it's helped me take more initiative, and I hope it'll last like that. But yeah, it's been helping me at least for now, so it's a recommendation for anybody.
Yeah. DLC for mine, which I was gonna save this as a later topic. I was gonna let you like do a full topic before getting into it, but you fucked up. Um,
Cool. I like fucking this
DLC
up.
for mine. So mine, my year of decision has already been very good, because one of the first things I did the next day after last stream was I just made the decision to in the moment tell somebody I had feelings for them. And I've already talked to you about this, but now it's going to be immortalized. And I didn't think it was going to go anywhere. I was just like, it's a thing that I need to say, and I'm just going to say it. But it has been going very amazingly. They have reacted very positively to it and have made a very active effort to make sure that this is going to go well, and I'm very appreciative of them, and I hold them very dear to myself. So that's the year of decisions going pretty well so far.
Yeah, I feel like I really don't want to jinx it. That's my if you can hear the wood in my space, I don't want to jinx it, but so anybody listening to this in the future, just kind of rude awakening. But yeah, I do feel like immediately both of our yearly themes are going substantially better than last year's ones, and
Definitely.
I feel like furthermore they're adapted versions of the idea we already had there, because like the concept that you expect when you're doing yearly themes is like, oh, I'm gonna do the thing at whatever pace in whatever way I have in mind, and then I'm gonna have another idea for next year. Maybe it's related, but it's like it is a pivot. Is at least how I thought of it when you were describing it. But I think that both of us just like are getting the same idea, but from a more understanding ourselves perspective and the environment around us. Do you think that's fair?
That's not necessarily how I view them. I mean, I had like
Okay.
what 4 different yearly themes last year. So I think last year was a very good um like case study into what a yearly theme should be based on what mine is. And what it shouldn't be as well necessarily, when you should maybe give up on one, because it
Mhm.
shouldn't just be you're locking yourself in from January 1st to December 31st every
Yeah.
year to one thing. I started Year of Order. I think Year of Order eventually it's going to happen. I'm going to eventually make one happen and work.
I
um
feel like a plan that you have not. I don't think you've said it on here yet, but you've told it to me. I think that's probably closer to when you're going to start it, and that's a while from now.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Um,
a big life change. Yeah.
Year of Order is when I move in with someone. Um,
Yeah.
eventually. Um, but like I eventually want that to happen, but it did not happen last year. Last year was fucking hectic. It is. Um,
Good to see you.
and hi, that's my partner. My brain turned off.
Yo! Good to see you, Leslie. I
Um,
don't know how I didn't, before you said that, recognize the profile picture from the picture you sent me last night.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So Year of Order didn't go how it was supposed to, and then I forget the middle point. What was my middle point of the year? I think it was the year of Forward, where I just wanted to like push
Yes.
through all of the chaotic bullshit to still get some shit done in my life, and that was a success. And I ended it with the year of Breadth, where my it kind of where my kind of you're gonna be able to tell when I look at chat. My focus is gonna go away. Um, but that ended with me wanting to kind of like broaden my horizons of things that I wouldn't normally do or try out. Lunar might be moving to New York. That's
Are you?
interesting.
Wait, sorry. Like, you mean upstate or you mean city? I, I didn't think I knew anybody with city money, but yeah. Wait, that's cute for which one? The Oh, city. Okay, because the reason that I had the question, this is just a quick, like a very quick divergence. The reason I had the question is because like city's the one everyone thinks of, but it's also really expensive. But then upstate New York, if I remember correctly, is more affordable, but like there's a lot more fucking bigots in it. Not hard rule. I got some good buddies in upstate New York, but it's like a lot more common as far as I know. But yeah, let's go further into that later. Oh, okay. It's just we're out of sync. It's cute how Ashley's brain turns off.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I think
continue,
we
Ashley.
have probably like 2 or 3 second delay for chat. Maybe not three. I'd say two at most. But
Mm,
yeah, so I ended with the year of Breadth, and that went pretty well. I tried about a few more things than I normally would, and ended up. I used to not like sushi, and part of the year of Breadth, I was just like, I know I've tried it before, but I'm going to try it again, see if I can expand into actually liking it, and I do now. Sushi's pretty good. Not my favorite
I
still.
knew you'd eventually like it because we've talked
I
about that before.
I fucking I need to go back to this Thai place we went to because holy shit, I love the curry. That was my first time having curry a month ago now or something, and yeah, it was like right before Christmas, and very good. Need more of that shit in my life. And then moved on into the year of decision.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
was another one in between, but I don't fucking remember that word apparently, and I'll never know it.
I, for me, because I don't know if I wanted to detail on this last week. For me, it was a lot simpler. It's just because I think my yearly theme was a lot more vague. Um, um, Last year was the year of change. We went over that last episode, but like, ooh, this is gonna sound sad. So the first about 6 months was taken up by the gradual process of peeling back. Oh, like change the fact of like shaming yourself over not being able to change your habits and the mental health issues that lead to that, because like that was a big part that was arguably an even bigger habit than the stuff I wanted to change. um like if I spent too much of a day sitting down like watching YouTube, or if there's just like uh something specific I didn't get around to doing, like finishing creatively or something, or storyboarding, or recording anything. Like it could have been anything, just like peeling back the shame associated with not doing the thing. And then the back half of the year was a very slow, how do we figure out how to like ease the process of change, because not necessarily is it supposed to be brute force. You're gonna like it eventually because you like the thing, but it's like wait, excuse me, you need to make
We're
several
both
different
very
mental health
burpy for this
developments.
episode,
That's
apparently.
fine. But yeah, needed to make several different mental health developments before that was like a realistic option. Well, I wouldn't even say that's a realistic option, but close to it. And so I think that it kind of just evolved in itself into, oh, why are you changing? Get closer to instinct and like hone those instinct, and that's how we got here. And it's like, oh, I really think that like what came of this is just what I meant in the first place. Yeah, Lizzie says, OMG, I feel that so much. I'm definitely working on that right now. Simple, short to-do list have been great for me so far. I'm really glad to-do lists work for you. They don't fucking work for me, at least not in my current state. That might
To-do
change.
lists are such bullshit. I keep trying them, and I know every time it's gonna fail, but I keep trying them. They don't work. Not for me.
I know they work for a lot of people. I thought I might be one of those people. I tried it for a bit. I'm like, this is... For the way my brain works, this to-do lists too much incentivize me to like stay on one rail. So like, you know, like against changing things. The closest that I ever got to a to-do list working, which I paused this for the holiday season because it was not working very well for that time, but I'm going to resume it soon. Habitica is close to the idea of a to-do list. In fact, it actually does have a to-do list system in it. It just works a little differently than a lot of people use those. But yeah, Habitica is both a motivator, like in terms of like keeping track of, you know, how much of what you want to do that you're doing, like habits you want to keep up and daily tasks, etc. But also it's like, if I'm like, I know I'm forgetting something that I want to already be doing. If there's a habit that I like want to instill in myself, maybe there's a number of them, and I'm like, I know something's missing and I want to improve this situation. I just forget what it is. It's essentially just a list of the things I want to do, and you just add points in whatever area according to doing it. It's just like a list that reminds you, hey, this is what you want in your life just in general. Lizzie says only 2 or 3 items on a sticky note. Okay, that's fair. Even if one of the items is play a video game or something like that. Okay, that's a much better concept than I was thinking. Yeah.
You know, every time I try to do a to-do list, I'll either like underpopulate it or way overpopulate it. I can't do like an amount that actually works. So for me, the part of the year of decision is also just like deciding to do a thing when I think about it. And not like being like, oh, I'll do that later, because later never comes. Later is always later. So that's just how I'm gonna do instead of to-do lists. Just, oh, when I think of something, just fucking do it.
Yeah.
Not for everything the year of decision is about. There are certainly some things I've decided not to do so far, but that's for a different time. That's for an actual recap later, a full recap of how this year is going to go, you know, in a couple months.
Is it fair to say that you and I, in terms of habits that we form, are we lean more in the direction of flowiness? Like we both
are neurodivergent, yes.
well, no, because
I think you hold less ADHD than me, but I think we're very similar in how like kind of ADHD hits a person, where like it's very easy to not do something, and so if you're in a flow, it's very easy to then do something, and so getting to that flow state is very good. I get overwhelmed so much by feeling like there's so much to do in my brain, so just like a few items of key points. Also not beating myself up over not doing them, but looking at what kept me from it. Yeah, that's fair. It's a good system, not for me.
I'm just gonna be completely honest. It feels like most of this, like, I mean, okay, this isn't a super fair, like, you know, kind of like round. What's the word?
For some reason, my brain thought you were gonna say round earther.
Okay. Anyway, this isn't a super fair bow to tie around everything, because this is just, I keep relying on vague shit, but it feels like all of us are rounding back around to instinct in terms of like instinctively what keeps you from doing the thing, as Lizzie said, you know, um, and figuring things out like that. But
Not everything's about your yearly theme.
I mean, human beings revolve around instinct to a certain extent,
Yeah,
and so it's
I
like
would say
I did not invent the concept.
mine is a level. I would not say it is necessarily directly like that because,
Yeah,
like I said, a lot of decision making is deciding not to do certain things anymore.
sure.
So
Well, that's also part of it. Like that's because I'm like, oh, if my instincts say this is not the time, because
yeah,
there's a
but like
lot
I'm
of
going
times.
against instinct with some of the things I'm doing. That's my point.
Oh, okay,
Is that
that's
like
fascinating.
a lot of things just like happen naturally, and I want to like change that. Not year of change it, but just change that.
Maybe I'm just misidentifying a certain part of what instinct is. One of us seems to be, but I don't think that's too important. Um,
No,
but
no.
yeah,
If there is
I mean, do you have,
either one of us that should know what the definition of it is, it's you. Uh, because
I just, you know what? I'm just gonna pull up I have had acetone in my fact check tab for too long. I'm gonna switch it to instinct. Because
well, I
many
forget
episodes
why we
ago,
have acetone in.
I don't remember either. An inborn, Oh god, I have to expand the size of the tab. Okay,
A
an
powerful
inborn
impulse. We can leave it at that. The second definition
Sure.
is perfectly fine.
Yeah, wonderful.
But like to me,
So,
an instinct
yeah.
isn't something you actively think about. Instinct comes naturally, and so it's like your first thought, where
I think,
like you're
yeah.
not second guessing it. Whereas year of decision is me very specifically like second guessing, but not third, fourth, fifth guessing.
In my opinion, instinct is, it has more to do with how it comes to you than what position in your brain it takes. Because it's like, I think there's plenty of times when I've had a conscious instinct. Like for instance, like if I'm sitting down to watch a YouTube video, for instance, are my instincts saying I wish I were spending this time doing something else? What else do I wish I was spending time on? But then later on, my instincts might say, should I be doing that other thing, or am I not giving myself enough breaks? I'm instinctively thinking towards, oh, my brain knows that I need a break. And so I guess it gets a little stretched and a little, you could call it overcomplicated, but it seems to be working so far.
It feels like more listening to your body at that point rather than instinct necessarily. Because I feel like some instinct is like definitely like self deteriorating in certain ways.
I just think there's multiple different instincts. There's like a certain set of like impulsive thoughts is a bad way to put it, based on what the actual phenomenon of impulsive thoughts is, but like the impulse of certain thoughts that you don't consciously decide to think, but they just spring up.
Yeah.
That's where I essentially categorize instinct. And there's multiple ones that come up there. And so you just rationalize it from the little handful of instincts that you find in that moment. Maybe I'm wrong about the wording, but it feels right to me. And
I mean, if it feels right to you, that's what that means. That's all that it means, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. It's like if it works, it works.
Maybe I'm wrong. It's working.
Chat, I'm wrong.
We already knew that. Anyway.
Oh, great. Thank you so much for validating it, Ashley. I really appreciate you.
You know, I like to stand with chat.
You said that like a revolutionary.
You know, maybe I am a revolutionary. Who knows?
All right.
Just wait. That's going to be the final decision.
You are going to be in several pieces at the end of this year by your decision making.
I'm going to be the president by the end of this year. Swear to God.
God, is it bad that I want to see it happen? I would.
God, that'd be. It'd be a lot of work.
It would. Do you have the decision-making power to do it, Ashley?
I don't know. The bed is really cozy.
That president has a bed. God, I would love so much. It'd be so fucking funny to like find that one year the president has like, you know what I'm talking about, but I don't think I have the name for it. It's like one of those really expensive gaming chairs that's like basically a circle from the side and it has the monitors descending down from it, and
Yeah,
the desk is a
the
little raised.
scorpion.
Yeah, yeah, that's one of them. Yeah. So the president just has a scorpion, and that's the Oval Office desk.
Do you think the president has an Oval Office so that if he's bad, no one can go tell him to stand in the corner and think about what he's done?
That's a really good. I hold on. I love the idea that, that the president actually is told to do that, but they just find the narrowest part of the curve in that oval, and so he just has to stand facing a wall.
Why would I want to be a war criminal, though? Look, to make an omelet.
Anyway, so my instincts tell me to get around to the general idea we have for this episode. Unless, so you know the idea that I have. Do you want to get to anything before I do that? Because it might take a little bit.
I do want to specifically talk about one thing, the other thing that I've been doing this week, other than a woman. And,
Followed up
and
by
oh shit, I accidentally opened it. Sorry, you had to hear a little bit of somebody playing Shadow chat. But Games Done Quick is currently going on. Awesome Games Done Quick. And I pulled it up to look at a number, and they are currently raising money for the Prevent Cancer Foundation. They're going through speedrunning all of your favorite games. I'm sure everybody here knows about them, at least to some extent. It's been an amazing show so far. I love everything that they're doing. They're currently at $584,000 raised for the Prevent Cancer Foundation, and I think they're going through the rest of this week. And if you end up wanting to leave the show today, I highly recommend you go over there and show some support for that cause. I would highly suggest donating as well. There's also a lot of cool prizes you can win depending on how much you donate and when you donate. Just a really cool event that's happening.
Wonderful. And now that you've gotten around to that beautiful little reference to folks who are doing something more noble and charitable than us, I'm gonna get around to some dumb shit. So
hey, we're doing pretty noble things. We're starting the revolution in this episode.
I am not gonna be clipped saying that I am joining you in this. Anyway,
I'm sorry, we didn't hear that last sentence. Can you say it again?
I am not gonna be clipped saying I am going to participate in that.
Okay, I'll just cut that first bit out. That's great.
It's the worst cut in the world. I am not gonna.
I am going to be clipped saying
2009 style. Ooh. But yeah. So for the next little bit, I have truly and genuinely no idea how long this is or isn't gonna take, but we have had the idea since the Christmas special that my exhaustive list of unused so far notes from the thought bubble, we're just gonna go on a lightning round through them for some winter cleaning. And yeah, we'll have as much to say about any individual one of them as we got. We'll move along to them as necessary. They might take 3 seconds, they might take half an hour, we don't know. So are you ready, Ashley?
Yes, I do, but interjecting first. I'm ready, but
Go
wait.
right ahead, please.
One of the topics that I've had for a little bit, and so I guess I'll start the cleaning because I only have like one fucking thing in our notes.
Sure.
And it does tie into Games Done Quick. Games Done Quick does have an affiliation with Humble Bundle right now. There is a Humble Bundle where you can get a bunch of the games that people are speedrunning. However, I highly suggest you not go to Humble Bundle, and I highly suggest you don't give them money, because I don't know if it's still going, but when I wrote this note, it was. They are selling a bunch of books about how to use generative AI. And so fuck Humble Bundle.
Yeah. Um, the, that's actually part of the reason why this lightning round is not going to include a. There was a whole section on something that was involved in a humble bundle that I was spilling love about. That I got some like good art shit from. Real art, just to be clear. Just want to very quickly clarify. I'm talking about real person-made art, digital, but still, handmade. But yeah, uh, God, is there any like feedback for him that Humble Bundle has? Is it like just the standard like you
They're
message their
owned by a
company
big
on?
corporation. They don't
Oh
care.
shit.
I think they're
Oh,
owned
how
by
much you want to bet?
IGN.
How much you want to bet that like they weren't part of the decision making for that?
I mean, at this point, I don't think a lot of people that work at Humble are like any of the founders.
Yeah.
It's like
Because it's
very
like I
corporate at
remember
this point.
you could tell where my reference point is, but like back in the alt space days, like people would get like justifiably really pissed at like the structure of things and certain terrible choices that were made. But like um eventually you like could start to tell, oh yeah, it's because like Microsoft didn't let them have a single fucking decision that would actually like benefit the community because they were really out of touch. But it's like, oh, but Microsoft shit in here instead and don't listen to anybody from the community. And so it's like I'm tempted to think that a lot of companies, especially like the Humble Bundle, like are in that kind of position.
Yeah, it's a Humble was acquired by Ziff Davis Inc., which owns IGN and runs Humble Bundle as a subsidiary of IGN. They
Mm-hmm.
also own Eurogamer.
Mm.
Um, they own Mashable. They own PC Mag. They own Rock Paper Shotgun. Basically, I guess if you're reading gaming news, you're reading Ziff Davis articles.
So yeah, don't get from Humble Bundle at least until they change that shit. Uh, excuse me. Now, are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so I, I also want to say before this, I really love just how perfectly anticlimactic you get when it comes to fun shit like that. Anyway, so oh, I almost literally just went over because the first thing on the list was the first thing I brought up today because it was just so important. I thought of a cool dumb idea about several months ago. Oh, Liz said, didn't they fire slash lay off a ton of their Humble Bundle staff? That doesn't surprise me at all. Um,
Probably. Let me see. Yeah, July 23rd, 2024. They did a bunch of shutdowns on Humble Bundle. Yeah, Humble Games is like dead. They're like publishing
oh fuck.
branch. Which like they had some I think most of the games are still getting made. They're just not getting published through Humble anymore. But that sucks because like I think Monaco 2, one of my most anticipated games. I fucking love Monaco. Is now like kind of in a limbo because they were a Humble Games.
I thought Limbo was a different game. But yeah, I I don't know anything about Monaco besides their I think they have pretty ads and that's everything I know about it. Um but yeah, so several months ago I had an idea, birthday dartboard.
I have
So
seen this in the notes
yeah.
for a very long time, and I'm like, I hate that I can't just ask you about that.
So now
Because
you're
what
gonna
the
know.
fuck is this? Because for
So
those
I
listening, all the context I have is literally those three words: birthday dartboard idea, and I have no other idea what this
because I
is.
know that you can read these two, I put as little context as I feel justified putting in for my
I
own uses
I don't want to
in
jump
them.
around, but while we're talking about the behind the scenes,
Sure.
um, the fact that Buddy's kidney stones has been on this list for as long as it has is insane.
it is a it is at a very low position, I'll just say that much. Just because it's held a place in my heart for a very long
And a
time.
place in their kidneys.
Yes, exactly. So um anyway, so I was sitting down with my pops having dinner several months ago, and like we just fuck around with funny bits anyway. And so but like this is one of the ones where I'm like, oh, I actually just genuinely think this is a good idea. So You know how like surprise parties don't work very well, and like like surprises only go so far, especially in adulthood. Like by not very well, I mean like in terms of the concept of a surprise.
Yeah.
So I think, especially because it's really nice to get a positive surprise at a time you weren't expecting it. I think I want to normalize whoever is in your close-knit circle, whether it be your friends, family, whoever. This especially should be an IRL thing, but I'm sure there's a good digital way to do it if you got a bunch of online friends. So for this group of people that you have, at the start of every month, you get together, whatever else you do, whatever. But you put up a dartboard, and whoever's birthdays are in that month, they don't get to see where it lands, but everybody else does. You throw a dartboard. I mean, you throw a dart at the board. Sorry, I had this more unlocked.
That's a lot of skill. Throw the dartboard at the dart.
Exactly.
Have it stay.
You throw the dart at the dartboard, and it has the days of the month on it. And so basically wherever it lands is when you do all the surprise like birthday celebration shit for the person whose birthday it is. And so like on their birthday, statistically it's actually pretty unlikely that anything will happen, at least from the people who were involved in this. But sooner than that or later than that in the month, you will get like an actual surprise. So whether it's like a phone call, whether it's a surprise party if you're doing that, or whether it's their present and you just whip that out, and it's like, I think it adds a nice little twist. Like it's a little bit of like, sure, disappointment if like, oh, on my birthday nothing happened, but then it's like, oh, you get this like anticipation of, I know it's not too far away, it's within the month, but when is it happening? And
I like the idea
you just,
of like you all get together and you do this, and like whoever's birthday is in the month, they turn around so they don't see it. They hear the dart hit the dartboard, and everyone's like, because it's like the next day.
Well, I'm thinking,
like, oh, fuck.
I was thinking the person's in the other room. Like they are. Like they have to step outside.
I love the idea of just everybody acting like they're not immediately stressed out having to plan for tomorrow.
Because like they wanted to do like the most expensive, long-winded shit for this. Yeah.
And just like, I don't know what I'm getting.
But like the first draft of this idea was that like only the person planning it would get to see it, but then it's like, oh, if anybody wants to prepare something that can't be done in the same day, then like then you want to make room for that. And so it's like, oh no, just everybody else knows but the birthday person. And I think that's a little beautiful idea. Do you have any massive holes in this?
I wouldn't necessarily say there's holes in that, because I mean it's as expensive or as nonchalant as whoever is setting it up is doing, or whoever is participating. But I would say I would morph it into, instead of like, oh, it's a random day that it happens, because I mean that's still just a surprise, but a dart is choosing it, instead of a person doing it, or it's on their birthday and they kind of expect a little bit of a surprise or whatever. Instead of that, it's just like you figure out with the person a day that they're free and they're not going to be like exhausted from shit. Because that's the biggest issue with me in like a surprise party is like, oh, if they're working that day, they don't want to come home to a party. Like, that's fair. But like if it's their day off, or they had a couple of days off already or whatever, and like you have the dartboard, but it's ideas of things to do, that maybe that the birthday person picks out like a handful of things they would like to eventually do in like a party setting with everybody, and you get the dartboard and you put the ideas on there and you throw, and it's one of those random things. So it's like they don't know what is going to happen, but they kind of know when it is. They can kind of plan around it, because I think the biggest issue with fire parties, like I said, is you can't plan to have it. You don't get to like ready yourself for that moment.
Yeah.
Well, if somebody
Yeah.
sucks at darts and doesn't hit any days on the calendar, then they don't get a birthday. That's the luck.
Like, okay, to be
They
fair,
don't,
this is not
but they don't grow a year older. So, it
this
saves.
this is not a competitive league. You could just stand really fucking close to it. Like, this is not this is not something that you have to like have regulations for. It just needs to be that this dart pierces realistically any day on the calendar. That's really it.
I love the idea of
yeah.
if you miss, nothing happens, and they just don't age. We just say that they're the same age.
That's kind of beautiful. Oh, then maybe like a different person is picked for like every month. So it's like, oh, how many times did you get Shirley? And then as your dart thrower, and for that amount of, so we have subtracted that number of years. We call you later on. How old is this person? 65 years old. No, on paper they're 30.
Yeah, it's a surprising amount of luck here.
Just give me this one. But yeah. Anyway, so for the next one, we got time loop items. You can tell when I start. Well, there's no date on this, but you can tell that at some point I started getting back into Neil deGrasse Tyson content. So I saw Neil deGrasse Tyson thing where he was covering the concept of gin particles. Do you know what those are?
Not off the top of my head.
So basically, a gin particle is like when you have a time loop where, like it's that thing where like there's no origin to that item. You are given that thing at the beginning by your future self, or someone receives it for it then to be given to the person who's going to then go back and hand it to. Sorry, the future self hands it over to the past self.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those particles that like revolve around, there was like a specific Christopher Reeve movie, I think, that he mentioned where it was like a pocket watch that was handed back in time and went through the thing, and yeah, that gin particle just keeps rotating the time loop. And I know that neither of us are scientists, but I just wondered if you have any thoughts on this question that I have. What do you make of this? If it's like a food, no?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if it's a food item, if it's anything that can decay, because we think of like a time loop revolving around a specific item that is handed back at the beginning of the time loop, or I guess I should say at the end of the time loop by the person giving it. Like that item keeps revolving around in time. It is effectively the same item it had technically. But if it's like, let's say a can of food, or it's like or it's something that like you can easily tell would have some rate of decay, maybe even a piece of technology like a pocket watch that eventually is just gonna fall apart. I mean, a time loop is, theoretically infinite, and so it's like eventually that fucking thing is probably gonna break down to its base elements, or at least function differently because it's so goddamn old and been used so much. And so it's going to change something in that time loop, and perhaps even break the entire time loop. And and they also brought up the Back to the Future parallel, where it's like, oh, the gin particle wasn't exactly a physical particle. It was the idea of Johnny Be Good by Chuck Berry. But then it's like, for that time loop to sustain, I know it's just a movie, but for that time loop to sustain, like, because when you replay a song, when you do a cover of a song, you are doing your interpretation of the song. You're probably not exactly playing it how it's supposed to be played. And so for it to like have an infinitely recurring time loop, it would need to have counteracting mistakes in interpretation between Chuck Berry and Marty McFly, or else it would be a game of broken telephone fall into disarray. And I wonder, do you have any thoughts on that, or is it just fun and cool?
So the easiest way to explain how I think about it to you specifically, then I'll explain it maybe a little bit differently for
Okay.
chat. Um, do you remember the scene in Loki where they showed when the timeline started splitting and branching?
There's a lot of There's a lot of those.
Well,
Which
yeah,
one
but
did you
like
mean from
you
which time?
like the first one where like you could just see like visually like, oh, they're all just splitting off. I think that's essentially what's happening with time loop shit like that. Is it's just a
Hmm.
new branch, and so it's not that there's one like in stone linear timeline. It's that once somebody goes back and like brings this object that came from nowhere originally,
Each loop is a
it's just
new timeline.
each loop is a new timeline, so it is a different version because they're not getting the first loop of this item, they're getting this next loop of the item, and it is an inherently different item at that point. And so
So
there is
yeah,
linear time for the item going through different time streams.
I love that so much. Yeah, so that makes room for decay, but it also makes room for like a whole lot of this loop is maybe gonna go the same way for like, I don't know, maybe
Yeah,
thousands of times,
and it
maybe only a
doesn't
couple.
break the previous loops as well. Those did still happen. It's not that it gets
Yeah,
erased once this item decays enough that it is unusable, because those are just
yeah,
different universes at this point.
yeah. I keep thinking that yeah, time loops do not account for decay as all things do. Excuse me, this really fascinated me, so thank you for covering that. Do you have anything else for that one?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. Now, I know there is already a certain degree of this, but YouTube genre separation ID. Here's the thing. I used to use YouTube for about the same reason most times. Like watching something to entertain myself, you know, like something that resembles how I would watch TV as a kid, you know, but just with updated taste and content. The thing is, around the time that I put this on the list, I was getting more into ASMR content. Um, and especially with something like ASMR and with ambient music before I went back to mynoise.net because that was recommended to me at first a long time ago. Back in Vsauce's initial days from the Dong series, which I'm not going to elaborate on. Uh, but yeah,
It is
um,
sadly technically the Ding series.
Ding series.
I hate that
I
that's
like that better for
technically.
recounting it.
Yeah, it's
I
just
like
it
that.
feels wrong. It's so wrong, but technically it's the Ding series.
So what is Ding then?
I don't know. They don't explain
What?
it. It just when he's talked about it recently, he doesn't call it Dong because it became like a separate channel that was D exclamation point NG. He couldn't just name
Oh.
it Dong, and so rebranded. And it's like supposed to show that it says Dong, but it's technically Ding now.
Oh, okay.
I hate it. I hate it so much. It's
All
Dong.
right. So, but yeah. So for those who aren't as ancient uncle
For those who
grandfather
aren't
as
Dong heads,
well, I'm just gonna keep it there. Um, stood for things you can do online now, guys, which I somehow didn't understand as a kid was like a really forced acronym. I thought it was just, damn, that's how it lines up. Weird. Uh, so, yeah, mynoise.net was on there, and that's how I originally found it. Stopped using it for a while, and so I don't use that anymore for like ambient sounds, like either rain or like if you like a, I don't know, coffee shop or wood creaking like in an old mansion or something. I don't use it for any of that. It's mostly entertainment based content and ASMR, and I would even go so far as a separate category for educational content because not everything that's like sciencey and educational, or sorry, explicitly educational, because all entertainment is education in some way. Um, Not all of it is like catered like a Cleo Abram video where it's like all the fix and doing like mainstream entertainment kind of things. So what I don't want that does happen now is that if I watch a certain amount, especially like enough length in one particular video of ambient noise or ASMR, then a bunch of that will show up in my recommended. Especially if I'm subscribed to the channel, it will go in, it will take up my subscriptions kind of thing. I don't think that's as bad, but I rely on recommended just because, firstly, I feel like it knows my watching habits better than just like looking at my subscriptions, and secondly, I find a lot more new shit when I look at recommended. So I don't want to have to create a separate YouTube account in order to have my ambient and ASMR watch history separate in my feed from hardline educational content and then entertainment-based content. But I don't think they belong in the same algorithm because all of them need room to breathe in their little branches and whatever I feel like, for that particular time. And I don't want them all in the same pool. And so I guess I just kind of wish that YouTube more had a functioning tab system in that way, or at least one that's super obvious, like forefront of the, like, oh, here's all the general vast genres that you seem interested in on a consistent basis. So here's where you go for that one, here's where you go for this one, here's where you go for this one. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think YouTube needs a complete overhaul of its interface anyway. I think it is kind of garbage in a lot of ways. So I would completely be for that kind of thing. Like, my biggest issue is how they show you your subscriptions, which I know every person on YouTube ever complains about this. But so you go to the homepage and it's just showing you whatever algorithm nonsense it's shoving at you, which recently for me has just been a lot of my subscriptions. But there's the subscriptions button under home, which is good. That should be there. And then you scroll down a little bit more, and there's the subscriptions area of the sidebar that you then click into to open the list to see most, but not all of your subscriptions. And then you can hit all subscriptions again to go to your subscriptions. And it's just like, why do we need like 3 different buttons for looking at your subscriptions, please? Also, everything needs to be like a fold up tab group to where, like, if I hit you, it should like collapse the menu that says history, playlists, things like that. It should collapse subscriptions all the way, and it should collapse like the trending or exploring of just like there's trending, there's music, there's movies. That should be collapsible on the sidebar as well. It's very frustrating. There's just so much happening. And don't even get me started
Also,
on YouTube mobile.
And I'll also say this, by the way, that just as a basic fucking feature for how versatile and broad of a platform YouTube is, I think it is extremely necessary that they implement a feature where you just get to pick, like, for your account, what is your launch page. Whether it's the YouTube homepage, if you prefer that. I'm still so fucking surprised, by the way, that most of the people I ever like the YouTube homepage, I never did that, and I'm like, the algorithm isn't perfect, but like, it does exist for a reason and works reasonably well a lot of the time. But I don't know how. But then,
I have to wonder how different my experience has been with YouTube because I do premium. YouTube Premium, and so
Probably.
It isn't necessarily having the same end goal with me as it would with somebody who watches ads.
Right. But I think that, okay, I just want to say in terms of the launch page thing specifically, I think someone should be able to obviously launch into their subscriptions page. I think that they should just have, like, from recent to from most recent to distant past, they should just get to see that immediately when youtube.com if they are logged in. I think it should even go so far as I think you should even be able to set a specific YouTube channel. Let's say if you're an autistic motherfucker like us, like, cause I used to have a specific channel to channel habit when I was a teenager that would start on, I think it was Jacksepticeye at the time. SourceFed was like the next one or a few down the line. And that was like the line I would go in. And that would have been real helpful if I just launched into Jacksepticeye at the time. What were you saying?
I think the YouTube homepage could be made much more usable for more people
Yes.
if it was segmented by categories of things, to where you go to the YouTube homepage and the first like 2 or 3 rows of videos you see are sectioned off as your subscriptions, where maybe the top line is your most watched YouTube YouTuber who with their newest videos, and then the next 2 is just a collection of what's come out recently from your subscriptions. And then you scroll down and it has a section off to where it's like, oh, either trending or things you might like or whatever. And then another section for like music videos that have come out that are popular or align with your interests in music. I think that would be fucking amazing. So you get more variety than just, oh, here's a bunch of random videos of like, oh, I scroll down and it's a lot of the same, a lot of untidied mess.
Yeah.
It needs to be much more tidy.
Yeah,
there was a video I watched about this recently. I'm gonna see if I can find it while you talk.
I hope I'm gonna remember to do this, but there was you might actually be going to the same person. But I saw like someone who was proficient in design in some way. They're a design YouTuber, like they redesign popular interfaces from scratch.
Juxtaposed is the one I watched.
I don't think that was their name. I could be wrong, but because I remember
a link to it in the Discord.
Yeah, please do. But yeah, I realized I was on the wrong Discord channel now. Oh, this is actually probably the one. Now that I'm looking at it, but for one, I don't remember a lot of her ideas. I remember liking them. I'd have to look back at it. I like the ideas that you just said. Might have lined up with hers. I will give one little tiny tweak though. I will give one little tiny tweak though, and it's that the music videos should be, hey, pick a general category of entertainment, and that is what you're going to find, like, you know, subcategorized into what interests you most about it. So it could be music videos, it could be like I said, Cleo Abrams style educational content, it could be audiobooks, it could be
I think there's room to add a lot more
prank videos or something. I don't know, react content. Yeah,
I would say like you should be able to choose like a few kind of like tags that you like to see a variety of. I would, for music video section specifically, I would like it to be more of like a trending thing. I feel like seeing what is popular is an important thing. And especially if it's like the third section on your homepage, like you have to scroll down to it to see like trending stuff, is perfectly fine and should be there.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people don't want to see trending bullshit. I think it's frustrating when YouTube puts like the breaking news on your homepage, but like they don't use that feature for anything else. Or they shove I forgot I have an extension that changes this, but they shove shorts into it, and it's like, I don't want to fucking see shorts on desktop. Show me shorts on mobile. Sure, fine.
That is gonna be one place where we hard disagree, though I do completely see your reasoning there.
I'd say if you want it, like shorts could be a button on the sidebar, and to be like, I specifically want to see shorts on desktop, because I just don't think a lot of people consume it that way. I feel like Shorts is a very mobile-focused platform. I completely lost my music here, apparently. We've been going so long.
One of the reasons that I actually quite like Shorts being on desktop as well, and like in the feed, which this should be a toggle if you do or don't want it, is because when I'm going to YouTube, but like I only want to spend a little bite of time, I want to go in and see the recommended shorts that I have. It's just a small handful of shorts, and frankly, that same recommending method could go for normal videos as well, which it's an entirely separate thing, it looks like, at least from my end. I like to click in there and then be like, oh, I'm gonna hop right back out. I'm not gonna swipe around. I'm just gonna hop back out. Now, sure, is that an argument just in favor of not categorizing it away from just short form content in general? That's another conversation for another day. But this is part of how I use it. I just want to go through a few comments before we continue, though. I just have the subscriptions page bookmarked, so when I click YouTube, that's where I go. Lunar says, I think that's a great method on the user end. I just think that YouTube should accommodate for the reasons you do that and make it possible that you just go to YouTube and that's what you find regardless of your device, if that's what you want. He also said, I mean, you could probably set up something in the host file to automatically redirect. I don't know what you mean by that, but I'm sure
We're
you're right.
both too dumb for that.
Yeah, I'm not a developer. Just I want to emphasize more than anything, I am not a
Stop
developer.
speaking in computer.
I have general computer knowledge. I like tech stuff and I look into it, but pretty specific stuff. I just looked and there's some things I'd be interested in, but a lot of it is just random garbage. It's not for everyone. Like I said, you should get to choose. Liz says being able to toggle settings like that would be really, really cool. I'm the kind of person where you can't have enough toggles that I would hate it. Like, I in terms of abundance of choice in like, oh, if you go through all these settings and set them how you want them, you'll rarely have to touch them again, if ever, but it'll set it exactly the way you want it. I'm all up for that shit. You could give more than 100 switches, and I particularly would not be tired of it. And then lastly,
anyone doesn't have
yeah.
it, enhancer for YouTube, the if you use a Chrome based,
Yes,
that extension's very good. That's what I
also,
think that's what gets rid of shorts for me, because fuck shorts on my desktop.
and related to that, by the way, just a little trick with enhancer for YouTube. I don't think this is a bad thing to say on stream, but like I've realized that
Don't say the F word. Don't do it.
So I've noticed that when you're watching ads on YouTube, if you go into the settings, I don't even know if you can open setting. I haven't checked in a while, but you cannot change the speed. But if you enable enhancer for YouTube's speed changing thing, especially the one you can like hover over and scroll, that still works. So when
on that topic, wait, before I forget,
Sure.
if for anyone that watches on mobile, you know how if you like hold down the side of the screen where the video is, it'll like go to 2 times while you're holding down on it. You know this feature?
Oh yeah.
If you click and hold on desktop YouTube on the video, it also does that. I did not know they put that functionality into the desktop, and that was really fun to learn.
I thought that was part of the enhancer extension. I just assumed that because I never found that before.
I think it's just on desktop. I don't think it's just enhancer. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I've been using enhancer for so long I forgot. But I think it might have just been on YouTube desktop. I mean, somebody can make me a liar and say that's an enhancer feature. But
if somebody just wants to verify real quick. But yeah,
I'm on mobile and didn't know that. Yeah.
I'm also just for the record, by the way, I'm the kind of person where if I'm out and about, I'm more listening to music than I am like watching shorts. Like maybe if I'm doing absolutely nothing while waiting for food to cook, I'll look at shorts. But yeah, like YouTube as a whole is just something that if I'm doing it, I'm probably sitting down at my computer to do it, even if I've been out. Like, even if I've been on my doing things on my phone out and about all day, YouTube just is not a walkabout and to other places thing for me. That's like mostly sitting down to watch TV.
Yeah, but like YouTube, like in shorts and stuff, is like, oh, if I go and eat somewhere and I just like I'm not with anybody, I'm just like at a fast food restaurant, I'll whip out my phone and watch a YouTube video or something.
For some reason that just feels like this is wrong, this is not correct, but this is how my brain interprets it. That feels like if you put your feet up on the table but no one else could see it, so technically it's not rude in my head.
Well, there's other issues with your foot on a table, but
Like, that's where my
no,
brain puts it. It feels too weird.
for me, it's like socially a thing. I get it. I'll only watch like certain kinds of content when I'm out and about, and so like I'm not gonna sit there and watch a Minecraft Let's Play out in
Are
public.
you gonna
That
watch
feels.
Illegal Eagle while you're outside?
I've literally done that.
I'm sure you have. Now
I
that we're
did
talking
that
about it.
yesterday at lunch. Also, I just love Legal Eagle. Very good. YouTube
Yeah, he's
channel.
great. It's just if I'm watching him, I'm gonna be sitting down. Yeah, I mean sitting
No,
down
because I
at my
was
computer.
because he's suing Honey, and so I watched that
Yes,
video.
he's
For those of you that
yeah,
somehow don't know, don't use the Honey extension. It's a scam.
yeah. Please, like, not just don't use it. Please, and this is not a joke. Uninstall Honey if you have somehow, if this is somehow
Yeah,
your first time
uninstall
hearing
it.
of it. Much smarter people than either of us. It will explain to you if you look around. There's a famous breakdown of it. It is an awful scam of an extension.
Yeah, and the government too. And I like that because we have a little bit of a delay. It sounds like you just say they're a scam, which is also true.
It's
But
like
yes, Legal
I
Eagle is also suing the government. I
yeah.
think a couple different times. So
I straight up until you reminded me of the delay, I thought, oh, totally in character. Lunar's just calling the government a scam. Like that's a yeah. Um, but
did not know
yeah.
that. Good
Anyway,
to know. Yeah, like spread the word that Honey's a scam. It actively harms people.
yeah. If you have a grandparent who you installed Honey on their computer in order to like save the money, because okay, just to I'm gonna narrow it down a little bit more into a part of what's wrong with it. You do not have to use it. It just has to be installed. And it is going to, through programming tricks that Lunar probably knows better than either of us. And this is like they outline this for you. This is gonna sound conspiracy theory shit if you don't know. But they actually go into the little cookie that the cookie that like you take with you.
Let me try to explain it fully. So let's
It
say
fucks with affiliate
you
links.
click, yeah, you click an affiliate link for a YouTuber you like, and in your browser it checks a little flag that's like, oh hey, this person sent you to this storefront. And when you make a purchase on that storefront, it'll look and be like, oh hey, this person's box is checked that they are the one that kind of closed the sale, and so they get a kickback or whatever the agreement is. And what Honey does is it comes in after you've clicked this affiliate link and unchecks that mark and checks their own mark as having closed the sale. And so PayPal, the owners of Honey, get that money instead of
Yeah.
whichever content creator you like. Also, another thing about Honey, it isn't just that it's bad for all of your content creators getting kickbacks, but you're like, oh, but it still saves me money. It finds coupons. No, it doesn't. It doesn't have every coupon, and every storefront can tell them to not have certain coupons on the list. And so it kind of it brokers a deal with the storefronts to be like, oh, hey, don't give them the best deal. Give them the best deal for us. So
Yeah.
you're not actually getting
And
good deals. And some storefronts is, I think the expose is going to have another part. It's not out yet, but there are some storefronts that have actually been completely fucked over by the coupon system that Honey promotes, to where like some of those coupons, they don't have an attachment to every store, just a lot of them, but like smaller stores, they don't have an affiliation with necessarily, but they do have some coupons on file that aren't for the general public, but they give it. And so they're losing like
Oh.
thousands of dollars because they're just freely giving these coupons away, which were meant for maybe one person.
Yeah. And in case this and in case you missed this part, the affiliate link part of it doesn't just fuck over like, oh, people who have at some point done a deal with Honey. This means if you have it installed, literally without exception, every single affiliate link you click on, Honey can and likely will intervene on. Regardless of if you interact with Honey or not, just it being installed and you clicking an affiliate link will rake that fucking money away from whoever the affiliate is for.
Yeah, and they
And
overwrite it
yeah.
even if they didn't find you a coupon. They'll also sometimes
Exactly.
overwrite a better coupon you already put in with their worst coupon.
Yeah, I didn't know that one.
Yeah,
That's
but it's like
hot
a specific
garbage.
PayPal coupon that's like, oh, hey, we got a 10% coupon for you. But if you already put in one that was like 15%, it'll just override it with the PayPal one.
Yeah, so like seriously, this is not a thing to procrastinate with. It is not hard to uninstall an extension, thankfully. Cut it out. Frankly, and I want to emphasize this. Don't treat this as a hard rule. So anyone who knows better at programming can correct me, and I'll go back on this if necessary. But I think I procrastinated in like uh um in closing my Honey account, but I uninstalled the extension. And so it shouldn't be able to do any of those things. It's just I technically have a completely dormant Honey account line. So I'm still gonna do it. You should still do it. But if there's any part that you're going to do and the other part procrastinate with, the extension specifically, as far as I know, is what fucks you over in totality. And what fucks
Yeah.
everybody over. Yeah. So
Yeah, if you want to
just to
watch
clarify.
the full expose on it, it's by a YouTuber called Mega Lag.
Thank
Highly
you very
recommend
much.
watching
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, very informative, very frustrating, but there's now a solution to it. Though, I don't remember who brought this up, but just like a bunch of coupon gathering apps, extensions, which I did not know that was a whole genre. I knew there had to be probably a few, but yeah, any coupon gathering one, be very suspicious because they might all be doing this. Liz says, "Okay, I don't know if I uninstalled it years ago. If I installed it years ago, but I need to check and uninstall and close the account if it's still there." Yes,
Yep.
every single device. If you see that little fucking H, do that device a favor and
Yeah, I
yeah,
only
go.
installed it
Yeah.
when like before it was even purchased by PayPal, and I just never ended up reinstalling it on new devices after it was bought by PayPal because I just don't like PayPal as a service very often. Like sadly, PayPal is pretty necessary for a lot of things, but I just don't like them.
Mhm. Yeah. But yeah.
Um
So
yeah, so fuck Honey.
fuck Honey and fuck the current YouTube layout, and that's our thoughts on it. And I'm sure I'm gonna have more
Yeah.
later. I think there's stuff I'm forgetting to say, but I'm gonna go on to the I think the next ones are gonna be much more brief. At least the next handful.
Okay, because I want to end the. You got 8 minutes.
8 minutes. Okay, so brief gush about the new Indiana Jones soundtrack, the Great Circle. Uh, okay. Of course of course I'm deer in the headlights now. So for old style like John Williams soundtrack from back in the day, like Indiana Jones, it's like you can hear it, it's beautiful. I'm not gonna downplay it, but unless you hear like a re-recorded version from a new orchestra, I'm sorry, you can hear that it's older and done on older equipment under most circumstances, and I'm not quite as much of a fan of it. But the Great Circle, I fell asleep to that shit, that soundtrack. I think it might be my favorite one that came out last year, and like including movie soundtracks. And so please give it a listen. Frankly, I was exhausted after a day near its release, and I was like on the phone with a buddy, and like this is gonna sound weird, but I like basically moaned myself to sleep because it was such an ear massage. It's like a scalp massage for your ears. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle soundtrack. The Wild Robot. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful movie with an also great score. I don't specifically regard it as much, the score part, but I want to see more animated movies like this. Uh, and I want to give just some kudos to it. It's a great DreamWorks picture, but it goes really far with a few of the death, like one little off the cuff like child death joke, and I'm like, I don't think it's a bad thing to do. I just think a little bit much for at least my taste. Fly Me to the Moon. The Fly Me to the Moon, if you don't know, is the movie. It's essentially like a biopic for if they did fake the moon landing, or at least tried to. Spoiler alert. But it makes me kind of want a conspiracy theory cinematic universe where it's like now we have then flat Earth discovery biopic. Like, so I Oh, I know it would be terrible for society, but I would love to have a cinematic universe of that. And I love
I
that
want
movie. It's
the
fun.
conspiracy theory that Fly Me to the Moon was filmed on the moon.
Anyway, so but for the next one, fascinating stuff about visiting Lilo and Stitch, which, if you don't know, Lilo and Stitch, I still believe is the greatest movie that Disney has ever made in-house. Especially animation. I do think the first Lilo and Stitch is probably their best one. It's certainly my favorite, not counting Pixar. Almost every Pixar movie I like better than, but for Disney it's the best. And I did not realize until very recently, all of the backgrounds, I think they're watercolor. And it really serves the tone of it. God, I love it so much. The liquid is such a good, and all the jelly-looking aliens and people are like, but not in like a weird way. Oh, I love Lilo and Stitch so much. And it's so fluid. Oh, and all the lighting effects. I don't need to do the next one. The bunny's kidney stones. The next one was unnecessary. The bunny's kidney stones. So, I think more people should do this. Throughout the past couple years, I've been bonding with one of my friends over because unfortunately they start at least 2 to 3 times they got kidney stones, and that sucked. But they kept getting X-rays, and they realized after a while, oh wait, if I hand this to Stevie, like he's gonna go, whoa, dude, look at that. And then so like we turned it into a bonding activity. And for the last one, because it basically increased in like, oh, here's like the type of X-rays we get this time. Ooh, here's organs from my friend's body. It's like that's how the inside of their body works. It's just cool shit. The last one was like the biggest X-ray that we'd seen. It was, I think, from like mid-shoulder height down to like the middle of the pelvis height. And we were sitting in a call with their partner and my partner, and like, and it was just, it I don't know how to describe what it was like, but it was just fun going, yo, that's what your whole spine looks like, and all of us were doing it, and it was great, and it was, yeah, that's basically it. It's like, it's not for everybody. My playlist, the last song just ended, and so I think it's trying to give me a hint. But, am I out of my timer?
You have a couple more minutes.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so I for some context on the medical shit one, back when I lacerated my foot and I was like freaked out about it, I took some bloody pictures. We've sent, from previous Thought Bubble, some of the pictures in chat, not all of them because I didn't get Ashley's permission for the direct one of the laceration.
No feet pics.
To be clear, even if you said yes to it, I'm actually not sure that it's according to Discord's TOS. So I actually want to double check that, because that is like technically gore, if I understand correctly. But I remember that like when I was in the hospital getting like my tetanus shot, getting it stitched up, I took a picture of like the blood-soaked sheets of it, and it was like an edgy like, oh shit, like like death is so cool. Like if that's your thing, whatever. But I took that picture and the cut up foot, and it's like, yo, isn't this? It's just rad as fuck, especially if you like horror, but without having to, you know, feel that feeling in your butt. I don't know how to describe it. I was telling friends earlier, in a separate timeline, I think I went into the medical field but got pretty quickly fired because I could not keep objectivity about someone's medical condition. I was too busy going like Bill and Ted style. Whoa, that's where your kidneys are. That's where your fucking liver is. Dude, that's amazing, isn't it? Look, this is your chest cavity.
I could imagine you being like, oh, there's the liver. Why do we take that out of so many people? That's why they die. We gotta put the liver in them to make them live.
But yeah, I'm the kind of person where like if I, God forbid, ever have to have like open heart surgery or something, I want to see what the inside of my own chest looks like. That'd be rad as fuck. That'd be amazing. Wouldn't that be cool? Ashley, come on.
I don't need my chest cracked open.
If it happens, Just getting to know what your lungs and your heart look like. And
No,
your
I
fucking
don't. I
intestines.
don't want to be a squishy little human. That shit sucks.
What your bones look like. Nerves,
I know
tendons.
bones. They white. I know. I've
They're,
seen
they're
skeletons.
off-white. To what degree are they off-white? You may
I don't
never
need to
know.
know. I don't need to share that with
That's fine.
anybody.
I love you can turn it into like a conversation piece. If I could, I'd get like a little 3D model of my body or a buddy or a partner, and I'd
And
just
that's
have it on the
time.
coffee table.
Thanks for coming to the show, everybody. We'll see you next week. Same bat channel, same bat time, or whatever the fuck it was.
This is actually not gay.